everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talks Sabah. I'm your host, Joanna Suhenli Rampas, and today we're joined by a familiar figure in Sabah politics. He is a former Minister of International Trade and Industry, a two-term MP of Penampang, and currently the Deputy President of Parti Warisan. It's none other than Datuk Darell Leiking. Thank you so much, Datuk Kotohwadan, for joining us here in the studio.
Omega.
Okay, for starters, you have made headlines this election that you did not stand for election. You chose not to stand for election. Yes. Of course, there are so many rumors coming out there saying that, adakah Datuk Darell ini mau pensiun sudah dari politik? You decided to be behind the scene. Or is this a strategic move by yourself? I mean, let's start off with yourself first. Maybe you can enlighten us about your decision.
Kopiwasian, Joanne, thank you so much for inviting me. Ketodan, headlines, that's a funny thing. There were two headlines that I saw on that day when we gave out the Watika to our Chalun. There was a paper and also online portal that said Darell was dropped. Then subsequently, in the 2 hours after that, diorang tukar itu headline kepada opt-out. Now, the fact is, I decided not to contest because I have my reasons, more so to ensure that the party wins. I think the dynamics that we need to touch on is we are going for 73 seats. So with 73 seats, Shafi and I agreed that I will lead the election machinery, and I felt and I feel that I am able to undertake that particular score. So thinking about it, I said if I were to contest only one seat, it does not give me the drive to win 73 seats. So I want to try this one out. Now, as for strategy, I think everyone has their own strategy. I believe that, like yourself, I'm sure you have your own strategy. I believe that we'll see what will happen 1 minute after midnight on the 30th of November, 2025. 1 minute after that midnight.
Yeah. Of course. Hopefully we have a government by that time because you know what Sabah is always, right? But anyways,
right.
So I'm also wondering, Datuk, how do you see yourself in Warisan for the next 5 to 10 years to come?
Okay.
Yeah.
As I told you earlier, currently I am managing the party's election machinery, and I'm also leading the party as their Timbalan President.
Okay.
So in the next 2, 3 or 5 years, we will be facing a couple of elections, and I'll definitely be continuing my role as Timbalan President. If not, I will probably play another role. But for now, as I promised Datuk Shafi, let's do this together first. Let's make this right, because this party was born out of trust between himself, myself, and Loreto when we first formed the party. And if ever I'm asked to take another role, I'm ever ready, just as I'm ready to lead at the moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. And now let's look into the party, right? Warisan. Some critics have said that Warisan's identity has shifted since 2016. Of course, it started off as a multiracial party, and when we look at the leaderships in the party, obviously it is seen to be multiracial. But of course, critics have said that the identity has shifted to only one particular race, or perhaps everyone is saying that their stronghold has always been in the East Coast. Okay, and how do you describe Warisan's position now? Is it truly still multiracial, or what is your comment on these critics saying that Warisan is only strong in the East Coast?
Can I answer that quickly?
Yes.
The funny thing is, kita punya kritik, they love to concentrate on Warisan and not look at the other parties. Very strangely, there are so many political parties in Sabah. I lost count at 20 lah. But I believe semua diorang pun ada certain race, certain demography. Tapi tiada orang soal demografi politik mereka. They don't even ask the fact that they are probably 6 ke 7 so-called KDM majority party. That should be the problem they should be looking at. As for Warisan, it is very clear that kita adalah parti yang mewakili pelbagai bangsa, because keahlian kami tidak mengikut dia punya agama ataupun kaum. It does not follow the birth certificate. It follows, you know what? The HIC. It follows the fact that we are all Sabahan. So, also at the same time, there are a lot of West Malaysians who have also applied to join Warisan. I make it no secret. More so those who have linked to Sabah, those who are married to Sabahans, those who had lived in Sabah, those who are working in Sabah and decided to retire in Sabah. So, it is a Sabah-based political party made up of all races, because I, likewise Shafi, will never allow it to be singularly demographically oriented to either Muslim Bumiputra or non-Muslim Bumiputra or Chinese. It must be Sabah-centric. It must be of all races. It must be all Sabahans. Now, you know, just to add further, like I said, Sarawakians who live here have joined us. West Malaysians who live here have joined us. Sabahans who are here are with us. So it is a Sabah-based, multiracial, multicultural party. It is not a singular demography party. And these critics, you know why they do that? Like I said, because they are, I'm sorry to say, it's not Joanna, but they're of stunted mind. They love that single race-based party. Shafi came from UMNO. Okay. He had grown out of single-based party. I came from a multiracial party. I grew out from a Malaya multiracial so-called based party. Because we all know at the end of the day, Sabah comes primarily to us, more so in our mantra to save Sabah.
Okay. Speaking about your mantra to save Sabah, let's look at your slogan.
Okay.
Selamatkan Sabah, right? And of course, many political parties have also their own slogans, and pretty much the same. I would say, like, Sabah first. You have justice for Sabah, Sabah for Sabahan. In fact, I have lost count myself too of all the Sabah slogans this election round. And in fact, I was talking to one of the young voters in one of the constituencies here in the urban area, and they said that mana satu kita mau pilih ini sebab dia punya naratif lebih kurang sama sahaja. Everyone is fighting for Sabah. Now, if you look at Warisan this time, you have brought a very interesting slogan that is Selamatkan Sabah, and it seems to land very deep, especially in this climate that we have now. Okay, and from your perspective, how should Sabahan interpret this phrase today, and what is Warisan saving Sabah from? That's number one. And number two, is menyelamatkan Sabah, right? The party's mantra. Is a party-owned narrative, or should it be owned by all Sabahans? How inclusive this idea is meant to be for this election.
Thank you. The fact that we are contesting 73 seats shows that we are serious about saving Sabah.
Okay.
We did not negotiate with any political party to contest X number of seats. We didn't even cross that bridge with any of them. So 73 seats shows our seriousness in ensuring that our mantra or our mission to save Sabah is for real.
Okay.
So what is Save Sabah? What are we saving Sabah from? I think most of your viewers who are very globally as well as locally inclined with YouTube, with videos and news, and also many portals that have exposed wrongdoings by or alleged wrongdoings by our current political leaders, and also the resentment that people have over being sidelined in opportunity, in job investments, as well as, Joanna, even knowing that Sabah sadly has the title of having 8 of the 10 poorest district in the nation.
Yeah.
So saving Sabah includes correcting the administration of Sabah, mengubahkan pengurusan Sabah. We need to look at merits now. We need to change even the way we deliver our mission and promises to the people, more so the Sabahans. We need to correct what we see that are obviously right in front of us. You can see, when you compare to Sarawak, we are probably miles, if not years behind them. They are already talking of trains. They are talking of connectivity. They are talking of even AI research, as well as what I read yesterday was even more interesting. That Sarawak is talking about training more doctors from a certain universities, identifying talent in Sarawak so they can match the future of Sarawak. Now di Sabah pula, ada hospital tidak pun cukup doktor. Ada klinik totally in bad shape. Now, those are federal duties. As for the state, you try and apply a license for trading di sini, majlis daerah or pembenaran in Sabah. How long will it take you? Even those small little things, we have a problem. So, you see potholes, you see tiada elektrik, you see ini dan itu. I mean, too many to say. All I'm saying is, Sabah needs help. Sabah needs to be saved. And I think in the words of Tan Sri Pairing Kitingan, he himself said, I read, Sabah is sick. So if he really believes Sabah is really sick, join the ship.
Yeah. That would be something that we actually look forward to see, you know, all the local leaders would actually sit down together. And although you sit down together but still contesting against each other, I think that's also a question mark. How do you unite Sabahans in that manner? But then at the same time...
Can I answer that one? I'm just curious. I just want to answer that.
Yes, please.
All right. That's why I find it troubling, like I said.
Yeah.
So many political parties. And recently there was a round table of a certain demographically led political parties. I did not see other Sabahans of different demography there other than that particular demography. So I think the problem is very inherent.
Yeah.
So many of them are leading parties. I admire the fact that they are trying to solve something that probably some of them are very familiar with because they were part and parcel of whatever they're talking about anyways. So I would think we should unite under a singular party, a singular movement, sharing common ideals for Sabah. When you share common ideals for Sabah, you don't need to have Sabah first. You don't need to jaga rumah kita jaga. Kita tidak payah even to selamatkan Sabah. Kita pun tidak payah justice for Sabah. We think of Sabah as a whole. We need to find the meeting point where Sabahans no longer think I belong to say Pinampang, Tambunan, Tamparuli, Sempurna, Lahadatu, Kudat. We don't even think about I belong to this family, that family, that demography or other demography. We should be thinking about when I am born, I just want to explain this. When you are born, you have no choice of which ethnicity you're from or you become. If you're born as a Dusun, you're born as a Dusun. If you're born as a Chinese, you're born as a Chinese. As a Bajau, likewise. So we need to accept the fact that we could not choose our ethnicity when we are born, but we need to show that our ethnicity is able to find its belonging as a Sabahan. So when we think Sabah first, or in this case, first being Sabahan, okay. I've always said I'm a Sabahan first. Okay,
rephrasing that. Okay.
I'm not praising anyone. I've always made it clear 5 years ago even. Yeah. I said I may be a Kadazan, I am a Kadazan, but I'm a Sabahan first. That was said 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to explain here is this. When you can't choose your race, God gave you the race. Accept that. But you know what you can choose? You can choose to be loyal to Sabah. You can easily go to London, United Kingdom, and become a Dusun British because you choose not to be loyal to Sabah.
Yeah.
Likewise, you can go to Australia. Kau boleh pergi ke Australia, jadi orang Dusun Australia, ataupun orang Cina dari Sabah di Australia, ataupun orang Bajau Australian. So, loyalty to a state is a choice. Birth, race is God's gift. So when you know that's God's gift, kenapa kau tidak boleh cari pertengahan di mana kita membuat sesuatu pergerakan sebagai orang Sabah or Sabahan. So when they have this round table thing, I'm sorry to say, I respect what they're doing, they're entitled to what they're doing, but they should know why they need that round table now, because most of them were the players in the past.
If I may add to that, right? Let's look at it in a bigger context, because everyone is making Sarawak as a dia punya example, benchmark kita kan untuk mau jadi macam Sarawak. Now, in my opinion, Datuk, I'm looking at Sarawak ini dia ada satu identity dia sudah sendiri, right? We are saying they have put their loyalty, the Sarawakians. Yes, to Sarawak first, because of course I'm also based there, right? As of now. And so I have seen them that they put the loyalty to the state first.
Yes.
Okay. And the thing about Sabah, this is my own opinion, and I don't see the Sabahans now having an identity, or should I say a consensus of what makes them Sabahan.
Okay.
That's how I see it.
Okay.
Because when you go outside in Semenanjung, for example, the first thing they ask, kau orang Sabah? Yeah. Dari mana kau? See? So, and then apa bangsa kau? You know what I mean? So that is the conversations that come out from a Sabahan. So I think, it is high time for the Sabahans, not only, as you mentioned, to not only to have loyalty to the state, but to have a Sabah identity. An identity that everyone has a consensus. The Bajaus, the Suluks, the Dusun, the Kadazan, the Rungus Murut, everything, What makes them being proud as a Sabahan? So I think that is what we are lacking in Sabah, as opposed to Sarawak.
Correct.
So until we reach that, I suppose, and that is where I feel that we can move forward and look beyond ethnic politics. Well, what's your thought on this?
That's where Warisan wants to save Sabah first.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to save what is obviously in front of us, the problems in front of us, so that we can pick up all the best people in Sabah to reset Sabah into a state that it should be and should have been. Now, how do you do that? You cannot just bring in one singular community or demography. You need to bring in the best brains, and these best brains comes from all demography, comes from all Sabahans. So first you put everybody together into that building block where everybody will take a part, because you have a share in anything that you do to Sabah. So it will come from everyone else. I mean, I hope I'm clear with that. When we formed the Federation of Malaysia, it was not the Dusuns, the Kadazans, the Bajau, or the Suluks, or the Chinese alone. It was all of Sabah that agreed to form the federation, right or wrong. But they all agreed. So Semenanjung, most of our counterparts in Peninsula should realize, when Sabah agreed to form the federation, it came from all Sabahans, from all community. So at that stage, at that pinnacle point, they were thinking Sabah, or North Borneo, but Sabah. And that's why they quickly changed the name to Sabah. So what I'm trying to explain to you is this: how do we get back that identity? Sarawak is a benchmark, true, but Sarawak does not have what we have. When you stand at the tip of Borneo, you will see to your right the whole east coast, right up to the Philippines or Sulawesi. When you look to your left, the whole of Brunei, Sarawak, right up to Kuala Lumpur. When you see in front, we have the whole South China Sea. So we are blessed with geography, our geopolitics, and yet we are still lacking on finding a common Sabah mission or Sabah mission. I think let's correct Sabah, let's save Sabah. We work on this while we rebuild Sabah.
But no matter who governs Sabah, right? Of course, we will know that 1 minute after the 30th.
1 minute after midnight.
1 minute after midnight. Hopefully. We exist in the federal system.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And you've been in and as an MP, and you've been a minister as well in 2018. And you see, what kind of federal-state relationship do you believe that is most stable and genuinely protects Sabah in the long run? Okay. I mean, do you see national parties like Barisan Nasional or PH, from that matter, still plays that stabilizing role in Sabah's political trajectory now?
In Sarawak, the Premier, Abang Jo, as well as many of his members of the State Assembly, all said, we don't need federal parties in Sarawak. You don't even see Abang Jo having a cabinet member in his cabinet, from the DAP. There are two State Assembly person who are from the DAP, and they are within the unity government at the central side. So Abang Jo never invited any of them into his state cabinet. So it proves to us we will always support whoever forms the federal government. And I think that is stability. But in the case of Sabah, or likewise Sarawak, we need to stabilize Sabah and likewise Sarawak with a party that can govern without needing any assistance from any federal parties. That is my opinion. Why? We've seen this model when we formed the government in 2018. If you realize it was Warisan Plus, what happened then? Those who left us, the three important assembly person that left us came from those parties. Later on, those who joined us left again from UMNO. Those from Pakatan left us. So, of course, I have to accept the fact that even our own people left us eventually. So what to do? I am right or wrong. I believe that you do not need stability from all the other parties, but you need a singular party to run the state. Now, if you really look at the GPS model, Parti Pesaka Bumiputra has more seat than all the other components it has, and it actually can form the government even without its component. Did you realize that? Parti Pesaka Bumiputra, Abang Jo's party.
Yeah.
They can just form a government without the rest of the components. Yet, after having that number, on being able to form the Sarawak state government, they brought in the others, or they work with the others to ensure that no one in Sabah, or in this case Sarawak, is left behind. Now, what makes you think that we won't do the same for our local parties? If we have the numbers to form the government, I don't think we should leave the others behind as well. We should have a new politics as well. If they don't want to work with us, and if they happen to be the opposition, we should give them allocation as well. I'm for that, because when I was in the federal cabinet, I even asked the Prime Minister then and the Minister of Finance, Sadiq knows, we were both asking for it, to give to the opposition allocation, because I went through a large part of my political life as an opposition MP. And I know when you don't have allocation, it's kind of difficult to run the constituency. And people will just whack you left, right and center. Okay? So I thought we should give to them. And anyway, that's in the past. But in the future to come, more so when we can form the government on our own, we should give allocations to our opponents as well. Because ultimately, the one that benefits is the constituency that they represent, not that YB.
Okay. Now, coming back to the mission for Warisan to form a government singular, and of course if you need to work with any local based party, right? And if that happens, but then of course we have to, as we've agreed, both of us agreed that our benchmark is Sarawak, kan? Tapi kalau kita tengok sejarah Sarawak dengan Sabah berbeza.
Of course.
Right? And how confident are you to say that this time Sabahans have truly awakened and say that they are ready for a local-based party? Because for some, for that, because I've been going also to the ground to listen, and there are some constituencies that perhaps, they are Malaya-based party that still the grassroots masih kuat bah di sana. And we cannot deny the fact that Malaya-based party has been here since, or in fact, being a government since 1994, and then of course it changed in 2018. But then again, that generation that grew up during the Barisan Nasional time, for that matter, they still have that party loyalty.
Understood.
Right? So, how would it be different this election round, and how Warisan is confident enough to say that this time will be the reset for Sabah?
how I wish I can do a Back to the Future story lah, and then go back in time and reset it.
I mean, looking at the political climate now,
1994 was the tipping point for change, where Sabah became totally different. It became run by Malaya-based parties. The first chief minister then was from UMNO in 1994, representing Barisan Nasional and UMNO. So Sarawak has never had the unfortunate opportunity to have a Malaya-based party being their chief minister and premier. You don't even see them from Malaya-based being able to garner enough seat to form the government, unlike Sabah. Sarawak is consistently represented by local-based political parties, and hence their model works. In the case of Sabah, the reset we tried in 2018 was almost there. If you can recall, the first chief minister of a Malaya-based party was the late Tun Sakarandanday, if you realize that, from Sampurna. So in 2018, in May, when we got past the Istana and became the chief minister, it was also from Sampurna, representing a local-based party. So it was basically, the idea was basically to end the dominance of Malaya-based party at the time. And you can see, it started with Sampurna as chief minister in 1994, ended with Sampurna being a local-based chief minister in 2018 May. Okay, but somehow along the way, I don't know what happened. Saya tidak tahu kenapa. Maybe we really need to look deep into our soul. Why do we allow this to happen to Sabah? And balik-balik kita cakap pasal Sarawak. Granted, ada beberapa kawasan that is still stuck with
party loyalty,
and you cannot blame them because they have already been they've been in Sabah for many years. But in any movement to create a great nation, a resetted nation, you just need to let go of all that love for them. Not that you don't love the person, but the love for that political party, and allow a new political party that represents truly what Sabahan wants, where our central is here, where our central office is here, where we do not need to refer to any political leaders outside of Sabah on any decision. So devolution is that word for governance in this case, political independence from any control or direction from other central political parties in the federal. So we need to make a decision very much like Sarawak, or we need to correct Sabah, save Sabah, and make it right to the way Sarawak have governed Sarawak.
Yeah, and I think this is very crucial for us to also have this discussion, because this election round, we are seeing about, half of our electoral voters are young people. And this will be the litmus test for Undi 18 actually this time. And to see whether, they truly understand what is Sabah facing now. Okay, and when we are looking at the amount of candidates, was it like 500 plus? About 540.
More or less.
536,540.
More or less.
Okay, so and some came to me and said, mana satu kita mau pilih ini?
Pilih warisan.
And I think, and this is the thing that is, I'm also a bit worried about the young voters this time. I think some of them are rather disillusioned too, because yes, Warisan was given the opportunity to become the government in 2018, but obviously there were ups and downs at that time, and then you had COVID, and Warisan had managed to only be in the government for
25 months
or so. And so I think people are still questioning on how would Warisan make it different this time? Should they be in power? Because of course, I have to say this clearly, Dato, because this has been and I know the party has already made a policy report on this politics of race politics and and making all sorts of fitnah dan sebagainya kan terhadap parti dan sebagainya. But obviously this has been the biggest issue that has been people looking at warisan. Dia cakap parti ini dia lebih utamakan satu kaum sahaja kalau sudah jadi kerajaan.
Siapa itu kaum?
East Coast lah maksud dia. Alright. So I think these are also one of the questions that always been brought up, and also I've also would like to ask you. In fact, until now, I think perhaps the party has not really made it very, very clear on this issue that has been lingering around our voters, especially in the interiors.
Funny thing, kan?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how many times we need to explain that we are not district centric.
Tapi
let's be fair. Nobody's even asking the other political parties and saying that, hey, you people, belong to that, this, that. But nobody's asking. You know why they don't ask?
Yeah.
Because they are comfortable with these people. And they've never, you have to ask this. Most of these people who allege that it belongs to Sampurna or whatever, let's get to the chase. Okay? You wanted to say Sampurna Sasi.
Yes.
Okay? Most of these people, I don't think they've even been to the East Coast. I don't think they've even been to Lahadatu or Sampurna or even Senakan. Or they've only heard it from someone else. More so political opponents of ours. Now, why do they keep on referring to this? This is the thing I don't get about Sabah. We should be more adventurous than most.
Perhaps you can make it clear today.
I can make it very clear. I am Darell Leiking from Penampang. I'm the deputy president of the party.
Yeah.
Datuk Sri Shafi Abdal is from Sampurna, who lives in Penampang as well, by the way. If you want his address, I can give it to you. But we are not district centric, we are Sabah centric. So as for Sampurna Sasi, like I've explained, and I know there are some, I think those who are stunted carry on with your thought because God forbid that more of you will come. I would love new intelligent people to be very brave, to be very curious about what is it on the East, what and who are in the East Coast of Sabah. Because we cannot be so arrogant that Sabah is only the West Coast.
Okay.
So, it is not about Penampang. It is not about Sampurna. Nor is it about Tambunan, Keningau, Kudat, or even Toranisasi. It is about Sabahanisasi. I've been saying this over and over again. And you know what? To my critics who are going to criticize this podcast tomorrow or day after, I'm just telling you this. You carry on with your stunted brains. I think, seriously, you need to carry on like that because I just pity who's ever going to inherit your brains. You got to be brave. This state does not belong to only the Kadazans, the Dusuns, the Muruts, the Rungus. It does not belong to the Chinese. It does not belong to the Bajaus. It belongs to all of us in Sabah. Of course, they'll edit this probably tomorrow again. So I'm going to repeat one more time. This state belongs to all Sabahans regardless of your color.
Right.
Regardless of your creed. Okay.
Now let's move on to policy matters. Okay. And I would love to talk more on policies that we have in Sabah. I think that is more important actually. So from a pure policy standpoint, we have also spoken just now about, alleged wrongdoings. And of course, this is going to be one of the biggest issue that has or is now being brought up by the voters, and especially those who are the younger voters. In fact, most Sabahans and predominantly urban areas too, that they're looking at this, and some issues that has suddenly come up last night. But then now I would like to look your perspective on what is the biggest lesson Sabah should take from all these controversies? Let's look at perhaps the system that we have in Sabah in terms of when we're talking about audit transparencies, GLC's appointments, and so forth. How would Warisan do it differently? Should they become the government?
Obviously, we've learned from the lessons of the past.
Yes.
Right? I always say this. When you want to start something that you truly believe in, learn from the mistakes of the past, correct what was not there. When we appoint new people to lead our premier GLCs, you need to lead with smart people, good people, and of course vetted people. Datuk Sri Muhammad Shafi also mentioned, if he were to form his state cabinet, his Sabah state cabinet, he was thinking of even bringing in successful, people who have led financial institution or corporate entities that will represent the state cabinet in the in the finance ministry. He mentioned that he would like to invite people who are really good in their field, technocrats or fiscal technocrats, to lead the Ministry of Finance in Sabah. So, among others, we will also bring in people who will be able to lead Yayasan Sabah, who will be able to lead our agencies that will help us to reset Sabah. So, mistakes of the past done. I don't think political appointments will be obvious like before, because we need to trim it down. How are we going to settle that? That's another headache for us. Obviously, it's another headache. And this may differ from other political parties who may have to promise their political friends position. But I think Sabah needs a total reset. But if they truly believe in Warisan and they truly believe that we are able to govern with the right team, they need also to take a step back. Our political friends need to take a step back and allow those who are not politically centric, but Sabah-centric, business-centric, governance-centric, clean-centric, to lead the cabinet and also the agencies. Because that's how you revamp Sabah. That's how you reset Sabah. That's how you put right on things. If we don't, Joanna, I tell you this, I cannot see us going further than where we are today. As for minerals in Sabah, the issue, that scandal, it erupted last year, if you can recall. Tapi banyak orang masih tidak faham. And I don't think it resonates with them. It resonates with me. You know why? It resonates with me because those assets belong to the people of Sabah. And kalau saya tidak salah, from what I see dalam video, they were given to political friends of the executive. And then this person, I think Albert T, beli daripada diorang, and did not buy only one, bought a lot from them. And subsequently it was cancelled with reasons that we also saw eventually in other videos and explanation. But forget about it. There should be a total revamp of the way we manage our minerals. I think we have to stop giving out political pork barrels in this case kepada orang-orang yang berkaitan dengan kita dalam politik. We need to take back the management of our minerals. We need to control the way we manage our minerals. Like in other countries that I've seen, we saw in the past how other countries messed up their minerals as well. So we must learn the pitfalls. We must avoid that pitfall. So in the case of Sabah, kalau that abuse that was exposed does not shift us to change or bring change to a government, then we're really in trouble. Because there could be other issues or other assets that have been taken away that we don't know of. Or there could be other corrupt acts that we don't know of. So I pray that people will have a realization on the 29th and say, let's do this, let's just put this right. I may not like the political party that you talk of, Darrell, but I know you're going to do the right thing.
Okay. Now, you were the the former Ministry of MITI, right? Minister of MITI. And now let's look into the investors. They now perceive that, since the alleged wrongdoings of the mining scandal, Sabah is at a higher risk of environment, especially in the mining and critical minerals lah. Okay, so what in your opinion, as a former MITI minister, how do we rebuild investors' confidence and assure that Sabah is transparent and a rule-based place to invest? Because now, as what you've mentioned, Datuk Tan Sri pun cakap, dia bilang ini Sabah makin sakit. Jadi, apa ubat dia?
Okay.
Daripada pandangan Datuk Darell sendiri, apa ubat dia untuk menarik pelabur-pelabur ini datang?
Terlampau banyak isu di Sabah yang datang daripada kita punya energy, kita punya supply of water, as well as our basic infrastructure macam roads and what have you. Yang semua diperlu bila seseorang pelabur masuk ataupun satu syarikat gergasi masuk Sabah. So I think we gotta solve all these basic problems and at the same time resolve and take away the element and possibility of abuse and corruption. We need to train our enablers, the civil service. We need to retrain our politicians as well, not to think of possibilities of an easy, opportunity whenever new investors come. Infrastructure, take away the possibility of any abuse and corruption. Give confidence to the investor that we are truly a government with rules-based governance. We are a government that will be different from the past. So, how do you do that? You need to create some sort of agency that can promote Sabah. I know there's Invest Sabah at the moment, and I know there's Maida in Semenanjung and also based in Sabah. But we need to revamp these agencies to really focus on what Sabah can truly deliver if investors were to come to Sabah and what sort of investment we need in Sabah. Kita tidak boleh ambil semua investment. I think there must be specific investments that we must bring in Sabah. And in the whole entire plan, the mission and vision of Warisan, which is not exhaustive by the way, has a further plan to enhance the Kudat port, the rail tracks, as well as all the other services that we can provide as as the conduit or the pit stop for a lot of ships that will cross the Makassar Straits. So we also need to look into, into new energy, solar, renewable, as well as even production of small little commodities that we can easily do in Sabah. I was at Kadamayan yesterday and I realized that they even do nanas. I did not know that. I did not know. It tells you how little I know. But I saw in other countries where they manage to actually have dried nanas, and they've got other small little things that are making money. I urge you, if you happen to have an opportunity to go to China someday again, go to Bainu. There's a place called Bainu. Wow, that place makes peanuts, and everybody there have monetized peanuts and packaging of peanuts, and they made a lot of money. So that can easily be done here as well. Go to Yiwu, places of small commodities. They are selling small commodities, like kita punya fridge magnets and what have you. So look at it. All this can be done in China. Why can't we do in Sabah? So basically in Sabah, we must bring back confidence by resetting our infrastructure, bringing it right, taking away what is perceived to be easy abuse and corruption, introducing good governance, more so to be strict on even our civil servants and our politicians. We have to be tough. They may not like it, But I think Sabahans will like it as well as outside investors will do.
Okay, so now let's talk about key issues as the 40% revenue entitlement. How do you assess the prospects of addressing these matters? And should solutions be pursued strictly through legal manners, or is there space for political negotiation that protects both Sabah's and also federal stability? What's your thought on this?
Okay, let's put this right, yeah?
Yeah.
The respondent in this case were the federal government as well as the state government.
Yeah.
Dua-dua mereka telah disaman, dituntut oleh Sabah Law Society, dan kita hormati kepimpinan Sabah Law Society dan peguam-peguam mereka. Kerana mereka telah menuntut berkaitan dengan sama ada Kerajaan Persekutuan dan Kerajaan Sabah gagal untuk membuat suatu review selama sejak
48 tahun.
I think sejak tahun 73 kalau
yes,
saya tak
48
salah.
years.
I think so. So they were asking for the loss years. What is the amount of the loss years? So ada a few demands yang dibuat oleh SLS, termasuk loss years dan juga kegagalan kerajaan Sabah dan juga Kerajaan Persekutuan untuk menyelesaikan ataupun melaksanakan apa yang termaktub dalam Perlembagaan Malaysia, Persekutuan Malaysia. So pada awal bulan ini Mahkamah October was it, or was it November? The decision.
October.
Okay, I forgot already. But so it tells you it was like sometime in the middle of October because nomination was on the 15th. So I think diorang telah memutuskan pada 15 ke 16 Oktober. 15. Mahkamah Tinggi Sabah dan Sarawak telah memutuskan bahawa adanya kegagalan Kerajaan Persekutuan dan juga Kerajaan Sabah untuk melaksanakan obligasi mereka dalam Perjanjian Malaysia dan juga Perlembagaan Malaysia. Now, the loss years figure, the government was also ordered to find out what is this loss years figure. That's why mereka telah diarahkan dalam 90 hari untuk menubuhkan jawatan kuasa dan 180 hari untuk menyelesaikan. Apil, rayuan. Perdana Menteri telah cakap, kami terpaksa rayu only part of it. When I baca apa yang mereka telah rayu, it has an effect over the decision on the 40%. Why? High Court of Sabah cakap menghukumkan bahawa adanya utang 40%. This is definitely there. And you have to calculate the quantum.
Yeah.
The other part was kegagalan Kerajaan Persekutuan dan juga Kerajaan Sabah. Kerajaan Persekutuan minggu lepas telah memfailkan rayuan. Dia memfailkan rayuan berkaitan dengan perkataan kegagalan. Now what if, I'm presupposing lah, what if the Court of Appeal membuat keputusan bahawa tiada kegagalan? Bagaimana dengan keputusan ataupun penghukuman Mahkamah Tinggi Sabah dan Sarawak di mana 40% itu patut dibayar? Kalau tiada kegagalan, perlukah dia dibayar? So this will be a problem. Walaupun saya peguam, ini bukan area of practice saya, tapi saya ragu dengan rayuan ini. What Sabah needs is a political solution. Okay? Legal solution and political solution. Okay? What Sabahans are demanding is not, just this and that, tetapi the rightful entitlement to Sabah. Okay. And that rightful entitlement sudah pun terang-terang diulaskan dalam penghukuman yang baru-baru ini dijatuhkan atas keputusan mahkamah pada 15 ke 16 Oktober 2025. And at the same time yang termaktub dalam Perjanjian Malaysia dan juga Perlembagaan Malaysia. Now, what is wrong with us claiming our rightful entitlement? I don't see anything wrong in it. We're not making it difficult for our friends in Peninsula. We're not at all. We are just seeking what is rightful to Sabah. So if we talk about the 40% and how we're going to get it back, we must make sure that the Perlembagaan is honored. Meaning, we follow the letter of the Perlembagaan or the Constitution. Second, during a negotiation as ordered by the Mahkamah Tinggi Sabah dan Sarawak, we need to get full facts of how much and what are we entitled to during the lost years. And I think and I believe a referendum should be given in this election to tell the federal government that we want our 40% lost years back. We want not to be negotiated with by runding-runding ataupun memberikan berapa ratus juta dan sekian. We need to get the full, accurate and factual figure yang telah dikutip dari Sabah and dapat balik what are the lost years that we had as ordered by the courts. So, appealing it is wrong, Mr. Prime Minister. I'm sorry. Because I don't know what your Attorney General advised you, but if the word kegagalan, which is obvious there was kegagalan, the fact that the courts found it that there was kegagalan means you should not appeal that if you want to honor the 40%. Because if that kegagalan is taken away, that 40% is negotiated again. We cannot negotiate what is rightfully our entitlement because you've already taken.
Yeah, well, I think this goes beyond political parties. I think
it's a legal solution and political solution. Why?
Yeah.
Political solution meaning we need to be very strong in Sabah. We can't just be sending a weak government and a very weak Sabah government to negotiate with to deal with what is entitled to us in as per the decision of the High Court of Sabah and Sarawak.
Datuk, when you talk about issues pertaining to MA63, Sabah state rights, like 40% entitlement as we are speaking now, okay? Well, different coalition takes different pathways and some favors stronger pushbacks and others also prefer to be more cooperative and negotiation with the federal government, which they say brings more results. And where do you believe the balance should be, especially if confrontation risks tension, but negotiation risks being too slow? I mean, how do you comment on this?
Let me put this right. I don't think kami confrontational. We are just seeking what is rightfully ours. Okay? Let's get that fact right. The Sarawakians, when you listen to them, when you listen to Abang Joe and what he says or what he states, it's not confrontational, but he's seeking what is rightfully theirs. It's the same pole position that we're taking. So, I think they use the word confrontational ataupun cold relationship just to scare people. But how come in Sarawak, they're not scaring people? Saifuddin, who just said cold relationship is a problem with Sabah and Sarawak, with Sabah and the federal government. How come they're not saying that in Sarawak? When Sarawak clearly says we don't want federal parties in Sarawak. Now, the Sarawakians have figured it out. And Sabahans have to figure it out. We need to back a singular strong party. And that's how you reset the entire federation. With a singular base party in Sabah running the government, it will be able to demand what is already institutionalized in the constitution. And it will be able to deal G to G, not confrontational. Because nobody is confrontational in our case. We are not there to scare them. They are bigger than us. They are bigger than us in terms of number. Haven't you realized that? Their parliamentary seats are more, but they have added more parliamentary seats and took away the seats to help their parties in Semenanjung. So we have, we must have, a very stable state government with a very strong chief minister that can negotiate with the federal government. I saw this when I was in, when I was in the federal cabinet. Abang Joe, the premier, dealt with the federal government by demanding the funds for repair of their schools in Sarawak. The federal government, although it was at first very difficult for them to give to Sarawak, I must say, but they managed to demand and negotiate very well until the federal government had to give them that allocation. Now, in the same case in Sabah, Shafi, as chief minister, was able to negotiate nicely with the federal government. But honestly, because there was some power play within the Warisan Plus, you can see how we were weakened when we are not given full mandate as a singular government, singular party government. Sarawak, like I told you, PBB, Parti Pesaka Bumi Putra, singularly can form the government.
Yeah.
Why don't we do the same in Sabah? Why not try for the next 5 years? They say it's a gamble. Sarawak took a gamble with them and look at where they are today. So why not take this opportunity to vote Warisan as a singular, strong, massive government that can deliver what is rightfully Sabah's. Okay? So for confrontational, one thing I know, Shafi is not confrontational. I'm probably more than him in that sense, because my passion, just like the young people, I want to be as passionate as the young, is to get what we deserve. Shafi, he's a person who also wants the same, but he knows how to talk to them. And when they know that you know how to talk to them, that is a problem for them.
Okay, so thank you so much, Datuk Darell, for your insights and your ideas, and also Warisan's trajectory in this coming state election. And I appreciate your time to come here, and also Katahuadan, and to all our listeners, Katahuadan, thank you so much for listening to our episode. And 2 more days until election, and please do go out and vote.
Do the right thing.
And thank you for joining us this episode. I am Joanna Suhenli Rampas. Until the next episode, Sabah Cakap, Malaysia Dengar, dan selamat mengundi kepada semua.